Hey, this is Auntie Huen, and you're listening to the Culture Cafe podcast.
Hello again, and thank you to Xanthi Wynn for that intro. Make sure to check out her work at xanthisvoices.com and be sure to support her latest voice work in the upcoming visual novel Bermuda. We'll have links up for that in the show notes. Welcome again to the Culture Cafe podcast. I'm Joshua, co-pilot over here.
Mitsuko.
And today we're talking about the day we found out. Well, this episode was actually something we wanted to talk about for a while before people were going and getting hit by cars and having teeth pulled out. And now that things have more or less calmed down, we thought we would start off with the topic that we meant to have a while ago. Right around this time, people are finding out that they're coming to Japan through the JET program, which we are participants of. Before we get into that, though, I just wanted to do a real quick update on the two of us, because we have had some things going on lately. I think it was about 2 weeks ago, maybe, or so. We both had to go to separate hospitals. I went to Kurayoshi to have a dental exam. I had x-rays taken of my mouth. The dentist determined that my wisdom tooth would need to be pulled. And you went to Yonago to have yourself checked up to see how you were doing.
Right.
How are you doing?
I'm okay. The doctor looked at my arm and my leg and said I should not wear the splinter supporter thing, braces, whatever they're called. I should take them off and try to move without them. So I've been doing that, and no real crutches, just kind of walking around without any supporter-like things. So that's all.
But doing very good, though, right?
Yeah.
Everywhere we go, everybody's blown away by your progress, and it's just making everybody smile. I mean, everybody asks how you're doing, and in the beginning, I would always have to say that, you were, you're still walking with crutches. It's not so easy to walk, or you would get tired if you went places. But now, we walk around, and you have just that little faintest little bit of a
limp.
Yeah, limp. Or
a little bit.
I refer to it as your gangster lean.
Yeah.
But that's really all that's left, and you're coming along really well.
Yeah, I'm trying.
No, yeah, you're doing good. So that's what happened for you. No problems. It was pretty good. For me, I
had 2 stitches poking out of my arm.
Oh, those little rogue stitches that sometimes
ones that are actually inside my arm,
underneath
my skin, and they were poking out, so the doctor had to pull them and cut them, and it didn't feel very good.
You don't sound too happy about it.
It wasn't fun at all. It hurt a lot.
You want to talk about that?
No, it was just, it wasn't, there's nothing to talk about. He just pulled it and cut it, and I had no idea what he was going to do, and I was like, you're not going to pull them out, right? Because these are in my arm. You're going to, damage my arm or something.
Yeah, but no problems, right? Your hospital visit was good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Other than that.
Yeah. Other than that, my dental visit was pretty smooth as well. Goodness, getting the tooth pulled. I think this is the first time I've ever had a tooth pulled. I went to a clinic the first time with one of my English teachers, and the guy there told me that he couldn't do anything. He said it was definitely inflamed, but they needed to have x-rays to figure out what to do, but they couldn't do the x-rays there. So we scheduled an appointment. This was Thursday, so the appointment was the following Monday. So he gave me enough medicine to last 3 days. So Sunday was kind of like a ticking time bomb for me. It was just, I didn't have enough medicine to last that long. And it wasn't that fun, just hanging around with a bum tooth. And Monday came, we went to this other place. That's when you had to go to your hospital visit. I went to mine. We had to go separately. It was right at the same time too. It was kind of annoying because I wanted to go with you to yours because the Mr. Scary Doctor guy was going to be the one checking you up. So I went to mine, and they took the x-rays of my mouth, which was like this really cool panoramic x-ray machine. It always makes me laugh how fast everybody runs out of the room when you're about to get x-rays. They give you like that really little, that lead vest, and then they're just like gone, and then they just zap you. So after that, they looked at the x-rays, and then he said, yeah, we're going to have to pull it out. And I was game. I said, okay, let's do it. And then he told me, no, like, well, we'll schedule you later. And the earliest that they could do was a week and a day from then. So it was the following Tuesday, a week from that day. I wasn't excited about that. He gave me more medicine, but I just pull it, get rid of it. Like, we've already established it needs to go. I'm done. I've parted ways. I've made peace with this. My tooth and I are going to be fine apart from each other. But that was the best they could do. I went in, they pulled it. That was fun. Just sliced the gums open. I mean, he shot me like 10 times. First of all, I thought I was going to be asleep for it, but it wasn't, which I guess that's fine. It really didn't bother me too much. You like absolutely loathe the dentist. And when I told you my experience, you're like, I'm never going to a dentist here.
I'm never going to a dentist in Japan. No offense, Japan, but I want to be asleep when you pull my teeth out and stuff and have pain medication and not be sitting in a hospital room without any pain medication for a day and a half before you do surgery on my arm and my leg.
Yeah, I could understand that would affect your viewpoint immensely. I'm normally okay when I go to the dentist, so it really didn't bother me too much. But he shot me up a load of times in my mouth, and then he waited like a minute. And then he came back and he started poking at my face and said, oh, you probably can't feel this, huh? Like, it should be pretty numb by now. And then, like, in my head, I kind of glared at him with these eyes that said, I feel everything. And I really did. I'm so glad that I spoke up and told him, like, no, we're not starting yet. I could still feel everything. And then he thought about it for a second and said that, okay, well, let's just try another place. And they shot me up like half a dozen more times. My cheek, along my gums, like really far away from where the tooth was. Just all over the place, seemingly at random. Those ones I felt more than the first ones. Those ones didn't feel good. But then soon enough, it kicked in. And so yeah, he just cut the gum open, chopped off the little bit of the tooth that he could see off the top. And then he only wanted to cut it into 3 pieces. That's what he told me. Just a bit off the top that he could see. And then once the gum was open, he could take it in half and take the piece that was touching my other tooth out. And then the other piece, the remaining piece that presumably had roots wrapped around it, which would have been trickier to pull out. That's what he wanted to do next. But he had to cut it like 5 times or something like that. And just the yanking that he did to get it out of my mouth was really, really not fun. Because, I mean, it's that weird sensation of knowing that something's happening. You can feel it, but you can't feel it. It's like it didn't hurt so much, but it was just very unsettling that I knew what was happening. And the sound of it, like, ripping. Like, if you've ever, like, torn lettuce by hand, and you just that sound, it was like that was in my mouth and in my head, and I knew what was happening. And it was a little bit, like, uneasy during that process. I was not it was okay, it was all right. But I mean, the dental assistant at one point, like, she had her hand on my face, and then the dentist, he's just like choked up on those pliers, and he was just like yanking. My head was like, for as much as she was holding my head down, my head was still pulling in the direction of his pliers. And yeah, interesting. And right before I left, he told me that I had to come back again the next day so he can disinfect it and take a look at it. And the only other thing I remember that day that really stood out is I was leaving. There was a lady who was reclined in her chair, and it looks like a salon, this dentist place. The dentist's office. It really did look like a salon, like with these individually marked out chairs, like it was getting a haircut. That's what it felt like. Just a tiny little wall divider. Did you see it? Did you see through the door?
No, I didn't see anything.
Oh.
I was sitting far to the left, so when they opened the door, I could only see a wall.
Oh, okay. That's what it looked like. It looked like you were taking the SATs or something like that, or getting your haircut. That's what it felt like to me. And as I was leaving, there was a lady reclined back in her chair and just crying and dabbing her eyes. And I felt bad, but then I also felt like, you probably did one of those gaman things. And I'm like, you don't have to do this. But I don't know her story. I don't know her situation. I didn't leave crying, but I didn't leave feeling good either.
Yeah.
Actually, I was pretty numb by that point. Anyway, had to come back the next day. And it takes like a half an hour to drive to Kureoshi or more. Because there's that Route 9, which is the vein that runs right through Tottori. It's like really the only road that gets you out to other places. There's the highway, but that's also a lot of times like one lane, occasionally 2 lanes. But if you find yourself behind a truck, that's it. Like we're doing 25 miles an hour for the rest of this trip. And so it takes a little bit of time. I literally sat in that chair for like 30 seconds while he looked at it and went, it looks good to me. Then he dabbed it with this little cotton that was, soaked in disinfectant. And then he wanted me to come back again the next Wednesday to get my stitches torn out. But I got the jump on him because I totally tore it yesterday morning when I woke up.
Though.
Just the one in my cheek, which felt so awesome. When I woke up, all I remember is waking up and going, and it didn't feel good. I go to the sink and it's just fountain of blood. And it was not too cool. I drank some cold water and it eased up. But it was pretty unsettling. And I still have to go and get the rest of the stitches removed. I hope the fact that I ripped the ones in the cheek don't make it more difficult for him to find them. Like if the cheek closed up with the suture still in there, like you'd have to cut it again and find it, which would defeat the point of having stitches to begin with. Anyway, that's what's going on. And then after that, I have to have my driving test the same day because I don't have many vacation days left. So I kind of have no choice. I have to do it on a Wednesday. Otherwise, I'd have to take a whole day off. Whereas opposed to Wednesday, I could take a few hours because I get out a little earlier. But we're doing fine. You're feeling good?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about Calpisu water episode, Calpisu water. We're going to have that a little bit later. That's the drink for today. But first, we'll do a little back and forth. The day you found out. So there's a lot of different ways we can interpret that. But
you can go first.
I can go first? Well, my story is a long one. We'll probably have to do another episode about interviews and things like that. The whole application process. I was really trying to line this up with the time frame in which people were applying and getting accepted into the program. But okay, to start off, so the day I found out was actually I was in Japan because I was living with you in Kofucho, and I remember because I have it written down here in the old journal. It was Wednesday, January 30th, 8:22 a.m. is when I wrote this entry. But this is how ridiculously excited I was. I mean, that I have it so detailed that the email came at 7:22 in the morning. I looked at it at 8:09 in the morning, and I had freaked out because we both applied at the same time. The first year
yeah.
we both applied at the same time, and you got in, and I didn't even get to the interview stage, which was that was a sad story, that one. So I was extremely nervous, just seeing that email, letting me know that I made it to that.
You made it through the program?
To get the interview.
Oh, okay.
Because they sent me an email saying I had an interview. Because I guess the list comes up too, but you also get an email at the same time. But the last year we checked the list when the list went up. Yeah, and you didn't get an email, huh? Saying you made it to the interview process.
No, I had to look at that list to see if my number was there.
Yeah, so I had an email.
I mean, you get an email later that says, when do you want your interview to be? Like, what day and what time?
That's the email that I was looking at, yeah.
But you don't get that as soon as, like...
the list goes up?
Yeah, no, you get it a couple days later or something.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, I was preoccupied, I guess. But that was the day I found out. That's where I was in my life. And I couldn't have been more thrilled. I already had to go back home to America anyway, because it was February 10th was the day at which I had scheduled to go back home because I had stayed a little bit too long. And
no, you were all right.
I was okay. No, but that was like, money was stretched thin, and I was,
okay.
I didn't have a job. I was volunteering at your school, your schools. Which was so great, and it was one of the best experiences my whole life. I had some of the most amazing things happen to me there, but Yeah, I had my interview was scheduled for the 21st. I remember that very well. And just the next 2 weeks after I got back home were such a rush to make sure that I would be ready and have a nice suit and be prepared for what they were going to ask me, because I was so convinced that first year that I didn't get in, that if I just had an interview, if I just had that chance, like I was really living in the past for a while, like if they just would have given me a chance to talk to them, I could have turned them around. But whether that's true or not, it doesn't matter. But I had the chance this time. I was going to be able to talk to someone. I was going to let them know why, I should have been on the program, or why I should be on the program. And that was enough for me. I was so excited, and I was thrilled to find that out. And that's the day I found out. I remember I told my parents. My mom cried because she was excited, but I think everybody thought like, that's it. He was getting in. He's already going to get in. Like, like what are the statistics? What are the chances? Who gets in? Who doesn't get in? Like most people who interview get in, right? And we still had to keep it, reeled back, because it didn't really mean anything. Later, I'd found out that the chances are very good if you get an interview. I was talking to someone on the interview panel, but like I said, that we'll do an interview episode for that. But I think we had like a nice dinner. I told my whole family, and they were just really excited that I made it to that part. And that was for me. That was the day I found out. It really does feel like a Hogwarts type thing, like when you get your letter in the mail, like it's, especially the letter you get when you find out that you've been shortlisted, which means that you've been put on the immediate go list. They have odd terminology, but shortlist means you've been accepted and you're almost guaranteed a placement. And then an alternate list would be if someone drops out and you can get bumped up. And then of course there's not accepted, which means try again.
Yeah.
So,
do not pass
go. Do not collect $200.
Yeah.
Go directly to jail.
Yeah, you don't have to go to jail.
Not
You're just
jail,
stuck in your own life for a while.
Baltic Avenue. No one lands on this. But yeah, so what was the day you found out? Like, you could pick whatever day you found out. Like, the interview, the getting in, Kofu.
I don't remember when I found out that I got the interview. I can't remember, or I don't remember that day. I'm sure I was very excited. I didn't really tell a lot of people, I think, or at least I didn't tell some of my family members. They didn't know that I was applying to JET. Maybe I told them when I got the interview, like, oh, by the way, I applied to this thing that'll take me to Japan, and I have an interview, so I gotta go. Thanks, bye.
Outdoor.
Maybe, I don't remember. Okay, anyways, but there was a reason why I didn't want to tell some people about that. When I found out that I got shortlisted, I was at your house, and I think I was staying with you, but you think that maybe I was living with you at the time. But if I think, because we found out in April, and I think I was staying with you, and I was working at a place at a call monitoring center, and I remember being happy or excited, like, oh, that'll be nice if I get that, because then I could quit this job. And I really liked the job, but I was like, I teach English in America, and I didn't find a job that year, so I was kind of bummed out. And I was like, JET would be really nice. And then slowly JET became something that I needed to get, because my mom decided to move to Las Vegas, and I didn't want to go with her. And I didn't have a car, and I didn't have a place to live, and I didn't have a job, or I wasn't going to have a job because I wouldn't have had the car to get there. And then you let me live with you, which was nice. But then I was worrying about having a job, or like I said, having a car, and I didn't have much money. So I was kind of relying on JET, but also trying not to rely on it. Like, well, if it doesn't work, it's all right. I'll just take a loan out and get a car and find a job or something. So I remember being really excited that I was accepted into the JET program. But I was a little sad too, because I was sad to be leaving my friends and you and stuff like that, and my family. I remember as soon as, or like slowly, the first day I found out, I didn't really believe it. Like, oh yeah, I got in, yay! But I didn't know what that meant until a couple of days passed or some time passed, and then slowly it began to dawn on me, like, I'm gonna go to Japan. I get to go and live in Japan. Like, wow, that's amazing. So then I started looking online, like, I was really curious about what kind of place you would live in Japan. So I looked online, like the type of living arrangements people tended to get, and I would go on like YouTube or blogs and read about it, and people on YouTube would show their apartments. Usually it was Jets living in apartments, and they were cute little like 1 or 2 bedroom apartments, and I was really excited, like, wow, it'll be my own cute place, it'll be so nice, and yay. And then on Facebook, when I found out I was going to Kofu, I started messaging people on Facebook in the Jet group or something. And someone sent me a message and said, oh, I know your predecessor, the person you're taking over for. You're going to have a really nice house. You're going to have a really big house. And it was like, I have a whole house? Oh my God. Like, I just wanted a 2-bedroom place.
I think that's what's like some people maybe get a little bit, they get all a little bit.
I know they do,
because,
yeah.
Like everybody, like some people we have some friends that have the tiniest apartments. They're really, really, really tiny. And you're just sitting, you're going like, oh, I hope I have the cutest little apartment that's got room for like 1 shoe. And you get a house.
It was my first place, so I was like, oh, this, like, I was living in my house until then, in your house, and that's not even my place. And then when I get into Jet, I'm thinking, oh, I'll finally have like my own first little apartment, like that'll be cool. And instead I get this big old house that used to be an inn that has a back house to it that I can't use because there's a bunch of bugs and rats and ghosts in there.
And it's haunted.
That's right, it's haunted. So I was shocked and in disbelief, and I didn't understand, like, what am I gonna do with all that space? And I only use about half of it. I use the downstairs portion, not the upstairs, because in the summer it's way too hot, and in the winter it's so cold. So I just stick to a room downstairs. It's also kind of laid out interestingly.
That's a good word.
So I did that. I was looking up living arrangements and then just what people had to say about going to Japan and what to pack. I packed a bunch of stupid stuff.
We'll do more episodes on those kinds of things in the coming weeks. Yeah.
Well, that was just I got excited, and so I started looking up stuff about like, oh, Japan, like what's it like? What do you do, and what are people like, and whatever. So I was just excited and kind of sad at the same time.
Cool. I think I was more happy than I was sad about things. I know my mom was sad, I mentioned, because to her it seemed, to me it was a countdown of when I get to go back to Japan and when I, gonna have this great job and I can do all this amazing stuff. But to her it was a countdown of me leaving, like being gone and never to return, which is not true, Mom. Calm down.
You'll be back one day.
Oh goodness, Mom, you're the mommiest mom of them all. But yeah, no, I was happy. It was definitely, there's 2 sides of that coin. There you do feel extremely just blown away, and you don't know what to do with that feeling once you find out. And then when you start telling all your friends and telling everybody, you realize that, oh wow, like there's this pseudo abandonment feeling going on from everybody. Like you're just picking up and leaving. Some people get like that.
I didn't get that.
No. Your friends.
Well, yeah, my friends didn't get that.
Well, okay. Let me back. I didn't mean that. I meant like from outside coming in, from other people coming towards you. There's sometimes this feeling of like, you're picking up and you're moving, and it's not like you're going down the street or, you're even moving over next state where you could maybe see them once in a while. Like Japan from California is a pretty big difference. If anybody wanted to come see us,
It costs a lot of money.
Like instantly $1,000. Like, do you have
Yeah.
that? Because you can't come see me if you don't.
That's true.
It's just there's no other way. It costs a lot of money to come over here to see us.
Man,
and
my friends.
especially,
Okay, go ahead.
well, it's the last point. Especially being where we live, where it's very difficult to come see us unless you know how to get here.
Yes. Well, now it's okay.
Now it's a little better now,
But
but you still
last
have
year-
to know how to get here.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to know where this place is, and then you could figure out how to get here. We would pick them up from the airport and stuff anyways.
Which is a
Before,
wonderful
you would
place.
have to take a bunch of trains, and then you'd have to take a bus, an overnight bus here. Like, of course, not the airport, what's the word I'm looking for? The airplane. You take an airplane from America, your country, and you fly to Tokyo, and you take trains to somewhere in Tokyo maybe, and then you take a bus from there to here. It's like a 10-hour bus.
My journey to get to your place real quick was LAX to Narita, Narita to Haneda, and then walk from Haneda to Shinagawa, and then
Shina?
Shinagawa, probably
I think
Shinagawa.
Shinagana.
Shinagawa, and then Shinagawa was a 9-hour overnight bus.
Right. And
That
then they
dropped
drop
me
you
off
off
on
on
a
a dirt patch.
Dirt patch right outside your, and it's funny because like I could have easily been like, oh balls, but now that I know your town so well, it's really not that far. It would have been like a 15-20 minute walk to your house.
you would have gotten there.
It's just probably like 30 minutes.
It would
It's
have
like,
been not fun though because it was summer already.
It was summer, but it was, and I had a lot of luggage. But well, not a lot, but the 2 pieces. And when it's summer, you're dragging those around. It's not fun. Anyway, you had something you were going to say.
I did have something I was going to say. Oh, I was going to say, my friends have moved all around the state. Like one lives in Washington and the other one lives in Illinois.
Oh, you got them beat.
Whoops. So, it was difficult for me when they moved. And then after I was moving, it's like, hey, come on, you guys did it. I can do it too. But I'm going to come back.
I was just going to say, they've got nothing on that. They can't get mad at you.
Yeah. No, they could get mad at me.
But they're not mad, though. They love
No,
you, and they
yeah.
talk to you all the time.
Yeah, they're always asking when I'm like, come home. And I'm like, I don't know yet.
And I'll tell you, this is the one thing that I think is different these days than maybe, let's say, if we got into this program 10 years ago, or indeed when the program first started. We've got iPhones. We've got
We
Skype.
do.
I mean, it's not a problem
easier
to talk
to people.
It's really not. I mean,
Yeah.
it's still difficult to get here. You have to have the means and the way. But to be able to keep in contact with people, Facebook and things, as much as I'm not into Facebook. I understand it's like a really easy
Convenient way
to keep in contact with
keeping in
people, and
contact,
everybody
yeah.
loves their Facebook so much. But anyway, yeah, it's not so bad. It's not as bad as it used to be. It could have been a lot worse. I mean, even given where we are, which on this is not, I'm not casting any aspersions on Totori when I say it's the countryside. But, I mean, that's what people tell us. The people living here,
Yeah.
they go, Totori, it's the countryside, with a
you
downward
were so
tone.
sad when you got this
And I'm
prefecture,
like,
huh?
why are you guys, selling it short already? I actually like it,
Yeah.
But not everybody does that. But there's a little bit of a melancholic tone when
there
they tell
is.
us that the Inaka.
The
But-
Inaka, there's nothing here. And you're like, well, okay.
But going off that point, if it were in the past and we were here, I think it would be far more difficult.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what did you say? Like, internet was it was a new thing?
It
in
was like
Tottori?
20 years ago they
Not
got
20. It was 20 years ago.
Oh, no, wait. 10 years? Maybe 10
You
years
said, I think
or
it was
something?
10.
10 years ago they got internet. They said internet finally in Totoriken.
It was big
It
news.
was a big thing. Yeah, it was a big deal.
They don't have Starbucks here still.
They still don't. They don't even have a. Oh, do they have Pizza Hut? No, Matsue is
Matsue
in
Shimane.
Shimane, huh? Yeah, no, we don't even have a Pizza Hut in Totoriken or Starbucks in Totoriken.
That was pretty funny. I mean, I don't like Starbucks. Pizza Hut's pretty all right.
Pizza Hut's great.
But yeah, it was funny just knowing that though, thinking like I live in a place where I came from a place where you couldn't not see a Starbucks anywhere you went, and now I'm living in a place
Where you can't see one.
cannot find one even if you tried.
Right.
It's pretty interesting. It's pretty cool. I like that dichotomy of that. That's just the change in lifestyle so quick. It was pretty neat. But anyway, we're rambling now. So that was those were our first, the day we found out. So not the first, but
When
those
we
were
found
our,
out.
day we found out experiences. And right now I'd like to hand it over to Spencer, who has graciously sent us down a reading talking about the day he found out. So without further ado, please take it away, Spencer.
Before I tell you about the day I found out I was accepted onto the JET program, I'm compelled to tell you about waiting. The application deadline is sometime in October, and the time you find out if you're accepted onto the program is in April. In the interim, you will get notified of your chance to interview, you will interview, and then you will be accepted onto the program, hopefully. But a little quick math reveals that there are about 6 months between the start and the finish line, and only 2 big events to break the whole time up. That means that the overwhelming amount of time you'll spend applying is actually time spent waiting. This process is synonymous for all participants. You'll rush to put together a solid app, check the details 100 times, then send it out. And then you'll wait, and wait. You might spend your time lurking on JET forums and building intricate fantasies about your life in Japan in the wee hours before you fall asleep. For me, I was working at a library shelving books. It's a pleasant and somewhat absent-minded job that lends itself well to daydreaming. And daydream I did. About changing a student's life with a single well-timed word, or walking through a forest of bamboo, or some other pleasant fantasy. Sometimes my rambling mind would be fueled by a book cover as I shelved, and suddenly my students and I were on an island killing each other with crossbows, or I was a foil for some character in a sappy coming-of-age PG-13 romance involving supernatural creatures living normal lives and battling normal problems. But all of that is to say that I waited a lot, and I tried to think about anything except the fact that I was waiting and consumed with the idea of teaching in Japan. Then there was a brief pause in the waiting to interview. I felt almost disbelief that I was one step closer. I gave the interview my all, but I was more relaxed than I had a right to be because I thought I was going to get nixed in the next cut. And I don't mean the way an overachieving student always thinks they failed a test, but they always make a perfect score. I mean the way the student who always fails tests is confident that he or she also failed this last test. So I felt like I had nothing to lose. As for the day I found out, I was in my apartment. It was mid-afternoon and I was the only one home. It was April 10th. I saw the letter in my inbox and it just says 2012 Nashville JET Program Notification. With Nashville, of course, being the location of the consulate where I interviewed. The letter says the following. It is our great pleasure to inform you that you have successfully passed the second stage of the screening process for the 2012 JET program year and are now on the final shortlist for ALT candidates. You are now scheduled for placement in a contracting organization, which is possible in almost all cases. I took a few slow breaths and let that sink in. Then I called my friends and family and let them know that I'd been accepted, and of course, I was met with warm congratulations. Actually, I just dug through my Facebook, and here's what I wrote on April 11th, the day after I got my shortlist letter. To those of you who have been following my progress on the JET program, I received my shortlist letter of acceptance this afternoon. For those of you who are just finding out, this means I will be leaving to teach English in Japan in early August for at least a year. Lots of backslapping follows in the comments, as you can imagine. Everyone is saying that they are both overjoyed and sad. They are glad for my opportunity, but sad that I will be gone. And yeah, I guess I felt the same way. I'm looking back on it now, and it's hard not to see the whole experience colored by my 2 years on the program. I can see now that I was worried for basically nothing, and that it was pointless for me to lay awake each night constructing these fantasy worlds based on my own ideas and hopes and worries. But it was impossible not to, honestly, because that's part of the process, isn't it? It's impossible not to talk about the waiting when you talk about the day you found out. Because although the moment itself is an emotional one and powerful in its own way, the thing that makes it really memorable is all the energy and momentum you built up waiting for it. It's like the punchline to a really, really, really long joke. You finally find out and you can release all the nervous energy and fear of failure you had been building. Or, at least in many cases, you can redirect that energy into worrying about the big move. Because now, your focus has shifted from worrying about getting in to worrying about what you should do now that you've got in. Of course, I went to the internet to find out some information about my town, but there's just not that much out there about BFE Japan. I relied mostly on pictures from my predecessor, but even then there were only a handful. So it was quite an experience to drive into the valley of my town for the first time, because I had no idea what to expect. I imagine I'll never forget that feeling. The Jet forums used to be chock full of dewy-eyed hopefuls like myself asking all sorts of mundane and yet oddly specific questions about Japan in an attempt to prepare. For my part, I swore up and down that I would brush up on my Japanese, but of course, I never did. And I didn't have a whole lot of money, so I relied on others to help me get things like a laptop that I would need for my journey. I remember I felt extremely attached to the minutia of my life in Kentucky because I felt like somehow I would never see it again. The idea that they might not have X, Y, or Z thing in Japan made me feel kind of paranoid, and I wanted to hoard all my possessions into my suitcase. It was like I was preparing to walk out the door, get on a plane, and then North America was going to explode behind me, and I was the only cultural artifact left from which to rebuild the United States. Good thing I stuffed that pillow into my suitcase then. Never know if you're going to be able to find one like that in Japan. An interesting thing happened to me, though, when I told my friends about my good fortune. A few of them started to stealthily and slowly withdraw from me in the months before my departure. It was never an overt break. It was almost a sped-up version of the way two people grow apart over years, except it was compressed into a few months. I kept throwing out opportunities to hang out and get together, but they were left undone more and more often. I felt like a barrier had sprung up, and it was confusing and frustrating for me. I thought I understood the motivation, that I had found a margin of success, and I was changing my life and taking a giant leap forward. So maybe a few people felt inadequate, I guess, that they were still working the same tired job or something. But honestly, I still don't know what happened. I mean, did they think I had somehow betrayed the friendship? Or maybe they were just ramping down to prepare for separation? I don't know. Ask me later about what happened after I return. Maybe then I'll have a clearer answer. Everybody's prep is a little different, I guess. Maybe you're looking for a little bit of advice? All right. Well, try not to stress too much about separation. Separation from family, friends, food, anything. Because the world is actually a lot smaller than you think. You can still Skype and keep in touch with whomever you need to, and there are ways of getting most things you miss from your home country. But, not being the same as you are now is kind of the point. You're so excited on the day you find out because it means you're in for a life-changing event. Life-changing. That means you need to be willing to drop a few things to make room for the new stuff. But don't sweat it. You'll be back. And even if you never return, I guess that means the things you left behind weren't as important as you thought they were. Just try to roll with the punches. Don't do what I did and get super stressed out about minor details. It doesn't help, and it serves no purpose. But actually, I guess it's kind of pointless to tell you that, since you're probably going to do it anyway. Well, in any case, good luck and safe travels.
Thank you again to Spencer for that story. And I think this week we're probably going to wrap it up a little bit earlier this time. Yeah?
Yeah, okay.
I think from the future topics, things that we probably want to hit on, like I said, things that we really wanted to talk about, try and keep it in line with when people were first getting onto the program. I mean, interview process and things like that. Now that you've got in, what are you going to do to get here, packing and things like that? Or maybe, when you arrived at your location, where you were,
Placed.
yeah, there you go, your placement. So things we want to talk about in the future, interview process, packing. How are you going to bring your whole life in a suitcase?
Or two.
Yeah, or two.
I brought 3.
Then arriving at your placement, and what do you do then? That's a big deal, I think, for everybody.
God,
That
I don't know how I did it.
That first couple of days you get there, it's pretty cool.
But it was summer, and it was hot, and it was humid, and I was wearing a full, business suit.
You don't have it anywhere near as bad as boys do. I mean, I was wearing a tie, and
I wasn't wearing a tie.
Everybody that I ran into was like, "You don't have to wear that." I'm like, "Yes, I do." You tell that to the people high up that tell me way down below that I have to do this.
I was lucky. My school said to stop wearing that, and I was like, "Oh, thank you so much."
Well, yeah,
but
my school's told me
the
that
first
too,
day I was there, and I met the mayor, and I met people of all kinds, and so I had to wear the suit right off the plane, and it was just hot.
Well, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Maybe we'll do arriving at your placement next time. We still got to figure it out. But anyway, for now, I think we'll probably end it here. We'll cut it a little bit short today. We had a couple of long ones, so we'll try to stick to maybe around this time frame. But anyway,
We gotta talk about Calpisu.
Oh yeah, we didn't have a Calpisu break.
We didn't.
Maybe. Well, we still haven't decided when we're going to talk about our drinks.
That's true. It's just whenever.
Whenever it pops up. Now, I could drink Calpisu, but you are like a big Calpisu fan.
I love Calpisu.
I'm enjoying it out of my
just the natural flavor.
Kumasan cup, and you've got your.
I've got Neko-san.
Neko-san.
Neko-chan.
Is this? It's they both say san, right?
They're san, yeah.
San.
They
Mine
say
says
san.
Yours says san. It's an odd drink. It's like, to me, it's like sweat water. I don't know.
No, that's like Pocari Sweat.
Yeah, we have to do that.
This
one
is
too.
sweet water.
I don't know. It kind of has like this acidic zing to it.
It's not soda. It's water.
But it throws you for a loop because it's like milky white, cloudy.
It is.
I don't know. It's weird. But also, like the name, like it used to be called something else.
It used to be called Calpico.
Calpico.
Or cow pickle.
Sounds like cow pickle.
It sounds like cow pickle, yeah. Cow pickle.
Does that sound tasty to you? Like
No.
A pickle that was white with black spots?
No.
Do you think it's rotten now?
No.
I think it's made of vanilla.
No. I don't know what it's made out of, but it was called cow pickle, and it came to America, and a lot of people didn't drink it. Maybe Japanese people too, I'm not sure, but I know a lot of American people didn't drink it because of the name. Like, who wants to drink a drink called cow pickle?
But it was written in English as Calpico, right?
Calpiko, maybe, or CO, maybe?
CO, I think.
I have never seen it, so...
I remember when it was Calpico.
Really?
Pretty sure.
I thought I did, but I don't remember seeing it, so I'm not sure.
I thought that's what they called it in America, and then in Japan it was Calpisu.
In Japan, it was Calpisu. I think in Japan it was called Calpico too. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's what.
But they called it Calpico, cow pickle. But a lot of people didn't drink it because it sounds like a cow's pickle thing. And so...
Nobody was referencing that.
So they changed the name to Calpisu, which sounds like cow piss.
Which is a marked improvement, I must say.
I fooled a lot of my friends doing that, like people who didn't really know much about Japanese drinks or food. I'd take them to like a Japanese store like Marukai or Mitsuko or something, and I'd be like, hey, you want to drink some cow piss? And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, there's this drink, it's called cow piss. And I'd like show them, and they're like, oh my god, it says cow piss on it. And I'd flip it over to the back and like point to some random kanji, and I'd be like, see this means like cow piss, cow urine.
But your friends are, no offense, it doesn't say cow/piss on it. It says Calpius, didn't it? It said Calpius.
No, Calpisu. Pisu.
Calpisu.
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 Yeah.
Oh, okay. But
So-
still, it doesn't look like it says cow piss, and it's
No,
white.
but yeah, but you know, I'd tell them that
I would
add
think it
some
was
dye or
something
something
else
to
with
it.
its milky
Well, one
nature.
guy was like freaking out so hard when I was buying it, and my other girlfriend who was there, she knew about it already because I tried to fool her a long time ago. And so I'm like buying the drink and all this other stuff, and he's like, "Don't put that in the same bag. Like, no, put it in a different bag." And I was like, "Why?"
Like it's drugs.
And he's like, "Because put it in a different bag. Like, I'll carry this one. You carry that one." And I'm like, "Okay." And so like I carry the drink in a bag, and I take the drink out of the bag while
Put
we're
it
in
with
the
the Mr.
store.
Clean.
I take the drink out of the bag while we're in the store, and he's like, "No, don't take it out of that bag. Put it back in there. Don't take it out until like no one can see us." And I was like, "Why?" He's like, "Because." So we walk out, and outside, like I take it out of the bag, and he's like, "No," freaking out. And then like I open it and I drink some, and he's like, "Ew, it's gross." And then we got him to drink it, and he was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe I just drank that." And then we were just laughing, and we told him like, "It's not really cow piss. It's just a drink."
I hope he felt like an idiot. It's not even yellow, it's white.
I don't remember who it was though. I'll have to ask my girlfriend later. It was like a friend who just happened to come with us that day. And he was just freaking out so much about this drink.
Now, the real question is, what did he think after he had some?
I think he liked it. He was like, "It's pretty good," but I think he couldn't get over the fact that
That's when you
we
should have
had said it was
you pulled
cow
the rug
piss.
on him again. It's like, no, it actually is cow piss.
Yeah, that would be funny.
And they just watch him spit it. And on that note, I think we're going to call it a day. Yeah?
Okay.
Okay. Well, as always, if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, ideas, or if you want to have something that you read on this show, send us an email at culturecafecast@gmail.com. That was funny to you.
It was funny. At culturecafecast@gmail.com. There's 2 ats. It was just funny. I don't know. To me, it was just funny.
Send us an email to
Yeah, there you go.
culturecafecast@gmail.com.
Then that's okay.
Not so funny.
Not so funny.
At.
Normal.
At
At.
.gmail.com.
Yeah. That's a little weird.
2@gmail.com.
2@gmail.com?
Yeah, 2@gmail.com.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh boy, here it goes again. See you guys.
Bye.
This show is not sponsored by the JET program. The opinions expressed are those of their respective owners and do not reflect the views of the program as a whole.